Hi guys, this is Jackie from techjackie.com. Welcome to another video on SEO. First of all, if you're brand new to this channel, make sure you press the subscribe button below so when I release a new SEO video like this, you get notified. In today's quick kind of like discussion presentation type of video, I would like to kind of give you my perspective of why I think big brands or big authority websites are dominating Google search results or SERPs, and what you can potentially do to basically turn this around to your favor. So first you need to understand Google's metrics, right? The internal metrics. Obviously, there's a lot of ranking signals and everything like that, but according to Paul Harsh, the ex-Google engineer, in 2019 presentations, which by the way you should go and watch it. I'll try to find the link and put it in the description. I don't remember the full presentation's name. Maybe it was XMX or something. It was quite a good presentation there. He said that the two metrics that Google uses are quality and relevance. So whenever they kind of come up with any search ranking signals or factors, they kind of divide it into either quality or relevance, right? So this also is reflected in the Google Quality Raters guidelines. So if you look at the Google Quality Rater guidelines, you'll see that for each point, there will be some of them are about quality, some of them are about relevance. Like for example, needs met, right? Like if this query is relevant, or let's say web pages are relevant to the search result or not. This is one of the metrics, needs met. Now this again is part of the relevance factor. Then obviously there are others that are part of quality factors as well. So different things, they try to kind of divide into two main categories, that is quality and relevance. And although there are many overlaps between relevance and quality, they both are not the same, right? You need to understand that quality and relevance are not the same thing. Like for me personally, I also consider authority, or like what many of us SEOs like to call it, authority, as a part of quality. So essentially authority and quality, for me, they're kind of like interchangeable terms here. So for example, a web page can be relevant, right? So let's say you put in a keyword and you optimize your web page for that. You put in a bunch of keyword on your web page, you put it in the H1, the title, etc., etc. Now that is relevant, right? So you're making it relevant. So by making it relevant, it doesn't mean that it's high quality. That's why I said that quality and relevance are the same, right? So a web page can be relevant but may not be high quality. In the same way, a quality web page doesn't have to always be fully relevant to a query as well. Now, don't get me wrong, that if you are relevant, it doesn't mean that you're quality. But if you are quality, then you need to have some kind of relevant, right? Like, let's say let's say you want to rank for let's say roofing Los Angeles, but if you don't use any of the keyword, you don't make it anything relevant at all on your web page, then how will you be able to satisfy the users, right? So obviously that is not high quality, that is very low quality, because it's not relevant at all. So relevance is part of the quality in my perspective, but but quality doesn't have to always be fully relevant. It just needs to be relevant. Like partially relevant is also enough, as long as it is high quality, right? So quality and relevance are not the same. So I like you to keep this in mind as we move along in the presentation, so you have this idea flowing around in your mind as we think through this together. So let's take a look at what do big brands have, like big authority, bigger, these type of website. What do they have in common? First, they have a tons of backlinks, right? Like a lot of backlinks, that's for sure. But they also have a lot of brand searches, right? Brand demands, brand trends, and all that. They also have external traffic, so traffic from different places like social media, direct traffic, referral traffic, etc., etc. They also have lots of references and mentions, right? So their brand name, their website have been referenced, have been mentioned, have been talked about on various places around the web, right? So they have all these tractions going on with them as well. And they also have tons and tons of pages across various topics. Each could have enough topical relevance in its own as well. So for example, you know let's say for example Forbes.com, right? The big Forbes.com, as we know, they cover about different topics on their website, right? So construction, home improvement, entertainment. So they cover a variety of topics. So when they publish different articles on different topics, what they're also creating here is topical relevance in each of those respective subcategory on their website, right? So these brands, they have a tons of pages, and they could also have some in topical relevance in different areas as well. So, and also a lot of other things going on in the back end. So there are a lot of tractions, a lot of signals going on around them, and not just backlinks, right? People want to just view as backlinks, but they're just a way beyond that to think of, right? These big brands. So in a nutshell, brands have the authority or the quality. You see, quality is there in every big brands, right? Yes, they might not be relevant. They might not be, that expertise. They might not have all those kind of real world experience. Let's say when they crank out any of the review articles, but they have all these signals. There are all these quality signals that Google think they're quality signals, right? Like brand searches. If they're getting a lot of brand search, obviously, people do find them to be quality and trusted, right? They have a lot of traffic from different places and all that. So obviously these are again quality signals. Like I said, quality and relevance, they're not the same, right? And that's why maybe some of the mediocre relevant content that they create are able to rank so well. Is one part of it, because they have a lot of quality. But let's try to move on the presentation so you can have a better view about it. So now, what Google prioritizes, like what does Google really look at, like what is the main goal here? So relevance is important, of course, right? But quality is even more. Think about it. Like Google used, I think back about 10 years ago, or maybe 15 years, they used to prioritize relevance. Relevance was everything in their system, until people start taking advantage of this, like keyword stuffing, Google bombing, and all that. So there has been more and more of manipulation using relevance as a signal. So they start shifting towards more and more quality, aka authority, right? So we have been seeing this trend for a while now, for a couple of years now, that authority websites are keep on winning and winning in every Google updates, right? And that's because they have been prioritizing these quality metrics, for the past maybe 5 or 10 years now, because relevance is easy to game, and relevance doesn't always guarantee quality, right? So their bigger metric or their high priority is always going to be on quality side of things. But in every update, you'll see this shift and this competition between relevance and quality. So sometimes quality will be reduced a little bit to make room for relevant signal and all that. So obviously that depends on the situations, on the updates. We're not going to talk about that. But overall, their main goal is to prioritize quality, right? So if you think about it from an algorithm perspective, when they evaluate, let's say for a keyword, a small niche site that may be super relevant, right? Like let's say you run a very small niche site, or a small, affiliate website or anything, whatever, and you create them to be very super relevant. Like you optimize them for topical relevance, you create all these articles and all that, and you also think that you have the quote-unquote quality required by Google, right? So assume that a small niche site may be super relevant and quote-unquote high quality, versus Forbes that Google has a ton of data on all the quality metrics. Now, which one do you think should it prioritizes, right? So we know that Google prioritizes quality, but let's say you are a small niche site versus Forbes, which is a big authority website with tons and tons of quality metrics, quality signals going on. So without thinking a lot about it, which one do you think Google will prioritize, right? obviously it's going to be Forbes, even though Forbes doesn't have the relevance or enough relevance compared to your website, but it has all those quality authority metrics going on their website, right? So again, you might argue that you have higher quality content, and that could be true. But again, algorithm is not human, right? Algorithm cannot judge as human. So it looks at different signals and all that. So obviously, quality content for the sake of just content is a vague metrics, right? The word quality content can mean different ways. For me, it might be high quality. For you, it might not. Or for you, it might be high quality. For others, it might not. So, the word quality content is something which is very vague, right? It cannot really be measured properly. Like different people have different perspective, right? So if even for people it's still difficult to judge whether it's high quality or not, think about it in terms of the algorithm's perspective, right? Because in SEO we cannot just think as human do. We have to think from the algorithm's perspective, from the mathematics perspective, from different technical perspective as well. So you need to kind of change your mindset a little bit as well, and don't think just about what would a human do, because algorithm is not human, right? But yes, advancement in AI and NLP, natural language processing, have enabled the algorithm to understand content quality more. So don't get me wrong, their goal is still try to understand the quality content, right? The content of the quality. And the advancement, the improvement of AI technologies and NLP, such as the introduction of Google's Gemini and their LLM models and all that, have enabled the algorithm to understand the content quality more and more. So maybe in the future, they might be able to understand it even better. But it's still something that can't be 100% trusted, right? Because it's something that can also be fake, can also be manipulated and all that. So by just looking at the on-page metrics and giving it a full priority, is going to produce a lot of mistakes and errors in the overall system for sure, like if you think about it. So it's something that cannot be 100% trusted, even though we have come so far in terms of content understanding and all that. Or maybe in the future, who knows, it might even be more and more better in terms of understanding content quality, but it still cannot be 100% trusted, right, if you think about it. So therefore, quality factors are mostly off-page, right? So if you think about it, all these quality authority metrics, right, they're all mostly pretty much off-page signals. On-page versus off-page factors. What quality factors can be more trusted? You think about it, right? As I just explained, is some on-page quality metrics can easily be gamed, can easily be manipulated, right? Compared to off-page factors that comes from other people. Like if other people recommend you, that's something which is quite difficult to fake, right? If the audience, search for your brand name, for example, that's again something which can very can be manipulated very difficult as well. So compared to on-page, right? So think about it, on-page versus off-page. Which quality factors can be more trusted, right? And don't just think about links, because links or backlinks alone aren't going to cut it either. They can be gamed, right? So we've been over the past 20 years now, backlinks is something which Google and every search engines try to stay away from, but obviously they cannot just completely shut down backlinks, right? Because it forms the fundamentals of the web. So they have to deploy other systems to work along with backlinks. So they can't just trust backlinks alone. So you have to think about that as well. Backlink is something which can be gamed, can be manipulated too, right? So more important signals would be something such as brand searches, traffic diversification, right? Traffic coming from different sources and all that, and notable references. So references, mentions from third party trusted websites, right, and all that. So these are what I think and what I really found to be more powerful compared to backlinks. Don't get me wrong, backlinks are still important, but these are other metrics that based on my test and based on my experience working have been found to be more powerful, right? So these are something which cannot be manipulated easily. These are something that even if you can manipulate it, requires a lot of resources, a lot of time and effort, which compared to backlinks are very very more much more difficult to be able to manipulate it, right? And these are again very super more difficult compared to on-page factors, again, which can easily be manipulated even more than backlinks, right? So this is what you need to just focus on, right? Be the expert and authority in your field, not just on page, but off page. So the end game for you is to be the expert and authority in your field. And don't just talk about your content quality. You need to be so good in your topic that people recommend you, that people search for you, that people mentions you and all that. So that way is how the algorithm is be able to identify what is truly a helpful content. A truly helpful content is not just what you think, it's also what others think about you as well, right? So build a recognizable brand that people know you for the topic, right? So build a real proper business website or a brand that people know you for X or for Y topic, right? It like you need to be so good, so you need to show off your expertise. You need to get your name out there. You need to make sure that people are aware of you, recommend you, search for you, link to you. That's how it has to be, right? Not just writing high quality content, because like I said, content quality is something which is vague. It's a vague metric. For you it can be quality, for others it might not, right? So true quality content is what the majority of people agree with, right? So that is what the true quality content means. And what about rise of low so we also talk about rise of low quality pages, right? So low quality mass produced content have been flooding the web or the internet since the rise of AI. So we can't deny that AI is here to stay, and therefore what has been happening in the Google search result over the past couple of years is there has been a rise in in the low quality mass produced AI content, right? And Google needs to obviously do something with it, right? Like they can't just let this run loose for a long time, because obviously that affects the overall quality of the webs of the internet or of the Google search ecosystem. So Google has no choice but to boost UGC or user generated content websites such as Reddit, with the hopes to surface human driven content and increase the quote unquote quality. So with the rise of AI and all these low quality pages, which the blame is on you as an SEO, right? Who has been flooding the web and has forced Google to use this strategy of boosting the UGC website. So right now, if you look at this Google search results, you're seeing Reddit, you're seeing Quora, you're seeing all these user generated content everywhere. And why so? Because they have a hope that these user generated content, they're at least human driven, right? Most of them obviously you can still game, you can still manipulate all this, but trying to spam Reddit is going to be very difficult. Trying to spam all these highly moderated UGC website are going to be difficult, and therefore they since the HCU, the helpful content update in I think about October September of 2023, we have seen a big boost of these websites. And why? Because to combat or to go against the web that as a whole has been mass producing low quality content. Obviously I'm not blaming you, and obviously you might be doing something high quality, but with all of this you are negatively probably negatively affected by this, right? If you're watching this, or maybe if you positively affected by this, then that's then that's good to hear. But again, you can't just look at your website, because you have to think from Google's perspective. They're managing they're working on the billions and billions, they're working with billions and billions of website. So when they make decisions like this, or when the algorithms decides to boost, let's say, user generated content and all that, they're not just looking at your website, they're not just looking at another website, they look at the whole web and then make the decisions, right? So if the whole web has been you know um, has been polluted by all these low quality content, then that is why they're going with this way of boosting these UGC websites. Now this will likely reduce in the algorithm update. So this, the surge, the increase of Reddit and all this user generated content will likely be reduced in the next algorithm updates, or probably right now as I'm recording this video, the March core update 2024 is going on. I think it's been almost like about 1 week now, about 6 or 7 days now since it was announced. So we have already been seeing, the reduction of Quora in the search results. So Reddit also a little bit, they start decreasing as well. So over time, they will reduce this for sure, because they have to balance this out, right, with normal website. They can't just always rank user generated content. And also, if the overall search results pages or SERPs don't meet the expected quality. So, they have had some times, right? So I think September was the date, was the month of the release of the SEO. So September to now March, I think they had about like 4 or 5 months to test all these in the search results. So they have all the data needed. If the overall data or the quality data that they have in their metric is not high enough, then they will definitely reduce this number of websites in the all these user generated content from the web as well, right? And I'm sure they'll start doing it, because obviously all these user generated content, although they're human driven content, a lot of them are also quite outdated and not relevant in today's world as well. So obviously, they boosted them with the hope to combat this, but at the same time, it also backfires them a little bit as well. So they will reduce this for sure, and we're already seeing it right now happening too. So let's see how it goes with that. Now, I also think that they likely use this opportunity of boosting Reddit and all these user-generated content to train their system as well, to understand the content quality, right? So obviously, if by boosting all this user-generated content, what's happening here is all these websites start getting clicked and start getting traffic and gets user signals. And with all these, user signals that have been pouring into all these websites, this allows them to train their algorithms, to train their system to understand, okay, what is truly a content quality, what is truly a high quality content, because they can't just use AI websites and train their system, right? Because that will create flaws. So they might have temporarily boosted Reddits and all these user-generated content just to train their system, just to make their system understand, okay, what is a true human driven quality content, what is not, right? Something like that as well. So that is also something that could be happening as well, or the reason why we see a surge of these websites. So, but remember, at the end of the day, you need to build a brand that people know you from the topic. Again, this is how you SEO should be doing SEO moving forward, right? Niche site, affiliate website, just for the sake of blogging, I don't think that is a viable options anymore. You need to create real business behind it. You need to have a real brand, right? That people aware of you, that people search for you, that people link to you, that people talk about you, right? And if you create all these, traction around your website, these are all what we call quality signal, right? These are what consider or make your website high quality, right? Not just your content. So think about it. Just to give a quick note, so as like I said, we have been about 7-8 days now into the Google March core update, and none of my clients' website have been affected. And that's because I make sure that all of my clients are real brand. They do some marketing and all that. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm pretty sure why they are still doing well. So that's something to to ponder on and to keep in mind, right? So engage in brand building, social media marketing, PPC, etc., and all that, and you will definitely succeed. A lot of my clients' website have been increasing. I've been seeing increase in traffic since I think March of 2023, and they have all never been affected by any of these algorithm updates. Some of them did get affected in between here and there, but they all quickly bounce back because all of them are real brand. They spend some money in marketing, they spend some money in in advertisement, they spend some money in promoting their website, etc., etc. So that is how you should be operating your websites moving forward. SEO in 2024 moving forward is not going to be the same, right? You need to focus on brand building, creating that brand value behind your website. That is how you will beat the algorithms. So that's all for the presentations. If you have any thoughts, any comments you would like to share, we can have a friendly discussions in the comment section down below. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below as well. That's all for it. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.